Grim, take one. Where have you been?
I have been MIA. I've been sober, working on my sobriety, working on creating more than I consume. I took a mental break. I took a mental vacation. Therapy, gym, community service, and just being present in myself. That's where I've been.
How do you feel now? What feels different this time around?
Um, First of all, I am 55 days sober, and I can't say this enough. I feel present. I feel here. I don't feel clouded. I feel like a different person, or maybe back to myself. I feel less grim and more Tia, and I'm thankful for that.
Do you feel like do you feel like maybe Grim was an alter ego, and now you're coming back into yourself, or do you feel like your the duality is Grim and Tia?
I feel like I feel like Grim is kind of like a superhero, like how they have Clark Kent and Superman. So Grim is not anyone bad, but Grim is someone that has been like a crutch to Tia for a long time. Throughout my childhood, throughout just putting myself out there, because Tia really has social anxiety, low key. And people don't know that. So Grim is that alter ego to just like, yeah, I'm that bitch. I'm that bitch.
Um, so you talked about sobriety, and that you're sober, which would allude to me that you felt like you needed to take a break. And some may not know that you were struggling with with being sober. So kind of talk a little bit about what pushed you to try sobriety in the first place.
So, I knew that I knew that I needed a break, a sober break for a long time because weed is something that I very much depended on. I'd stub my toe and I roll up. Any minor inconvenience. But what really pushed me to take this sober break, I would say I got in trouble legally, first of all. And I just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, I am so disappointed in myself. I was tired of my own shit, so to speak. I thought to myself, like, I owe it to myself to see what the best version of myself looks like in this lifetime while I'm still alive. Like, how do I look when I'm sober? How do I operate when I'm sober? How do I communicate with people? How do I paint when I'm sober? I wanted to be less dependent on a substance and altering my mind.
Mm, I can definitely relate to that. And a lot of artists, lean on substances as a way to be otherworldly, to connect with themselves or with the divine, or whatever their preferred deity is. But how do you feel like your creativity has been impacted by your sobriety?
So I used to be one of those creatives where, I have to smoke before I paint or think of an idea. So I'm not knocking anybody who does, but at a certain point, you have to give yourself a little bit more credit, that it comes from within you. And it's not the substance that's providing you these ideas. So the more sober I became, don't get me wrong, this shit hard as fuck. It was tough. But the more ideas actually started coming to me. And the more I was able to prioritize them and organize them because I was less clouded. And ironically, the more patience I had with myself to execute them, you know. My art right now, sober, I feel like it has more intention behind it rather than just creating. I'm a talented motherfucker, I know that. But talent without hard work and without intention is very boneless.
When you found yourself, have you found yourself wanting to smoke or wanting to?
Hell yeah!
So what do you do? What do you do when you feel like you want to smoke? Like what do you replace it with?
Hey, I be wanting to smoke all the time. I mean, that's what I'm used to. But truthfully, I replace it with the gym, therapy, writing, journaling, being bored. I mean, in today's generation, being bored is so, like, looked down upon. It's almost like you're scared to feel like you're not doing nothing. And that's one problem that I struggled with. Like, I could sit still for 2 seconds and be like, Tia, you're not doing nothing. You're not doing enough. You're not, you know what I mean? Like, I start getting like these anxiety and panic attacks. Like, oh my God, what should I do? Nothing, bitch. So I really I started just being bored, bro. Like, we like too much stimulation, and that's not good for us. Sometimes your brain needs to be still because that's when the best ideas come to you without you even thinking of it. You ever notice like when you've been thinking about an answer all day, like, what is that? What is that? What is that? And then when you finally like go to sleep, or when you're about to go to sleep and you're laying down and your mind is at rest, it just comes to you because you at rest. So, you know, what do I do other than smoke? I go to the gym. I talk to a therapist. I talk to two, actually. My therapist probably need a therapist. I talk to my mother. I talk to myself. I watch TV, and then I paint.
So you would agree that a lot of too many of us have bought into hustle culture in a way that it's actually counterproductive.
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like, don't get me wrong, hustlers hustle. You feel me? But hustle in a structure where you're not burning yourself out. Where it's like, you know that saying where they're like, you can't take it with you? It's very much a fact. Like, when you 6 feet under, where the money going? Where all that hustle going? You know what I mean? What I started telling myself is that my fuel for creation now is the fact that I want my art to outlive me. So, God forbid, whenever that is, when I pass and I'm dead and gone, I want my art to be still looked at, still appreciated, still circulating. And that's what I've spent my life making my mark. Not likes on Instagram, not people, oh, does this person like me? I gotta go to this event. Like, you still hustling when you just being true to yourself and creating. You know what I mean? And by all means, put yourself out there, but do it in the most genuine and authentic way that you can.
Dope. So now that to me, this is definitely signifying a new chapter of, juxtaposing Grim and Tia. What does that look like? What is the next, I don't want to say 10, let's say, what does the next 5 years look like for Grim and Tia?
It looks like Tia taking the driver's seat and Grim taking the passenger, because Grim been in the driver's seat for a long time. It looks softer. It looks more patient and intentional. It looks like the things that I'm afraid of. facing things head on rather than supplementing them and altering my mind state to deal with them.
That's deep. I don't know, when I met you, and you told me your name was Grim, I was like, when I think about Grim as being, dark and stuff of that nature, and not that you can't be dark, but I was wondering I thought you was a beautiful person, so I was like, I wonder, is that a juxtaposition, the same way how some big people are called tiny, or some tiny people are called big?
Yeah.
I was like, maybe because she's beautiful, she calls herself Grim, so that it takes some of the weight off of her being beautiful, and she don't want to be known for that. So, like, kind of, I guess, walk us. How did you get the name? Like, how did that?
So, that's actually funny as hell, by the way, the way you worded that. But Grim, first of all, Grim came from Grim Reefer, because I was smoking so much. I told myself, like, damn, I'm not the Grim Reaper, I'm the Grim Reefer. You know what I mean? So my Instagram handle for a long time, for years, was Grim Reefer. And I always found a kick out of telling people that, cause they'd be like, oh, that's hard as hell, that's dope as hell. And my ego would boost more, and then I would smoke more. And be like, nigga, you can't outsmoke me. Like, and then as I drew away from like the smoking, even though I still was smoking, but it so much wasn't like my persona, the art became my persona more. Grim, I started just going by Grim rather than Grim Reefer. And I made it an acronym. So GRIM, greatness in me. And I was like, oh, I like that better. Because then that makes it the juxtaposition and like what you call it? The oxymoron? Yeah, like an oxymoron. Yeah, so I changed it to an acronym, and now, as you can see, my handle on Instagram is Grim Letsum. I ain't no reefer no more. You know what I mean? But now I'm just simply Tia.
Awesome. So for those who don't know, like, many who do know you, just in the short time that I've known you, I would consider you to be an accomplished, painter. Well, not even a painter, because I feel like that's almost like a slight to how creative you are. So I'll say I consider you to be an accomplished artist, a multidisciplinary artist. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sure there's someone looking at this and they are in their beginning stages of their career, or maybe just at a crossroads. And they're looking at you and saying, I wish I could do, what Grim does. Like, what is a takeaway, or something that, a piece of advice, or maybe something you may want them to heed as they embark on this journey of becoming? Because we're always in a journey of becoming. And this is not this Tia chapter, or is it just yet another chapter of your book? And so speak a little bit about what advice you would give somebody who is looking to become what they feel like they know Grim is.
Advice I would give to people that's still becoming themselves. I would say, do not be afraid of the unknown parts of yourself. Do not be afraid of the judgment that you receive from people that you probably won't see 10 years from now. Do not fear experimentation of mediums, yourself, creative processes. I would say the baseline of it is eliminate fear. Eliminate fear. And if you sense fear, then you're probably in the right direction. Not saying like go down like, don't go in no weird places. That's not the fear I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fear of becoming, the fear of being bigger. Like Kanye said, which is one of my favorite quotes, reach for the stars, because if you fall, then you probably will fall on a cloud. You know what I mean? And he damn right. They can say he crazy all they want. I don't think that man crazy at all. He's eccentric. And I understand him more than most people, because I think I'm eccentric too. You know, I aim for the stars because I want to drop on a cloud. You know, somewhere in the stratosphere. People be like, "Oh, aim for the sky, bitch." I reach for the stratosphere, wherever the fuck that is. But aim higher, and for yourself. Too many people nowadays, I think they rely on the reactions of the outside world when you are your only supporter that really matters. Not saying other supporters don't matter, but think about you first.
Got it. And is there anything coming up that you would want to make us be aware of? Anything to look out for from Tia?
Yeah. Um Better art. I mean, I will never knock myself. I used to have imposter syndrome bad, but I work hard. But more intentional art, better art, more colorful art, more experimentation, you know? A softer me, more of knowing who I am rather than just what you see. I do want to get more personal with certain things, you know, just opening up about who I am, where I'm from, like the journey that I'm on. I'm not faking nothing. You know, I ain't where I need to be at all yet. And I'm not going to fake like I am, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, we getting there. Thank you for that. I appreciate it, and that's it.
That's all, folks.
Got it.